I've listened to Discovery by Daft Punk for more than a year.
And I listened to it once yesterday.
Welcome to Spin It and the end of the year of Discovery. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Spin It, the record ranking podcast for people who would rather be listening to music. I'm James, and with me, one of those Daft Punks, it's Connor.
One last chance to discover.
One more time to discover, perhaps.
It was right in front of me.
It was right there.
You could almost say it was face to face.
Yeah, it was face to face with you, and it's okay. I understand. You don't have night vision. We're recording this pretty late.
But I can't believe we're here.
Yes.
The end of the year discovery.
That's right. This is our fourth year of podcasting. We're officially doing our 208th episode, which is 52 times 4. So that's wild. I've really enjoyed the year of Discovery. It's had a nice vibe to it. The year of Vengeance was really a wild roller coaster. We kind of discovered a lot then. The year of Healing was really nice. We had a lot of high scores, but I really have enjoyed the year of Discovery, taking like a score target off of ourselves and just being able to explore all kinds of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think is the coolest album that you've discovered over the year of Discovery? Which of these last 52 episodes? Well, not all of them have been albums, but you know, you get the idea.
Yeah, I get the idea.
We've done everything from Neutral Milk Hotel to Jay-Z to Count Basie to Seether.
We've done some crazy episodes.
Mariah Carey, The Police, Fish in a Birdcage.
I mean, I am a big fan of Fish in a Birdcage. That's one of my favorite discoveries, but I discovered that myself.
Yeah, you brought that one.
I think the best discovery for me, I'm going to have to give it to I think it's really recent, but I really enjoyed it. It's going to be Carolyn Polachek.
Wow. Okay. Coming up strong.
That one was a really fun one to do. I almost gave it to something like Boy Genius because I didn't really know any of their music, but I kind of knew of them, whereas Carolyn Polachek was somebody I just didn't even know existed.
Yeah, we had a lot of build-up to Boy Genius, too.
Yeah. Cody Fry was another cool one.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed his album.
I think, obviously, I like a lot of the albums that I pick and bring, but some of my big, discoveries this year, or episodes that I really liked a lot that I might not have expected to, Deep Purple. Machine Head was a really fun episode.
Oh, that's true. I forgot about Deep Purple.
That was cool. The casino that burned all the way to the ground, that was great. I really discovered Matchbox 20 kind of this year. Obviously, Fish in a Birdcage and The Wellerman, you brought both of those, and those were interesting discoveries. Very different. Olivia Dean, I discovered this year. She blew me away. Big time hit there. The Christofferson episode was a ton of fun. I don't know, just a lot of these have been really fun. Van Morrison was listener recommended. I really liked discovering Moondance. We learned who Meatloaf is last week. And this week, of course, we're closing out the year of Discovery on the day of Discovery with Discovery by Daft Punk. It felt necessary, right? Felt like we must do it.
When you suggested it, I was like, amazing.
Yeah, no questions. We were debating what to do for the end of the year, and as soon as this one crossed my mind, no brainer. Now, we've talked about Daft Punk a few times in the past. We talked about them on our 90s singles episode specifically, because that completed our trilogy of Around the World.
Oh, right.
We talked about Kings of Leon and Red Hot Chili Peppers and Daft Punk. I think you said Daft Punk's Around the World was your second favorite?
It was my second, yep.
You thought Kings of Leon was too repetitive. And so you took Red Hot Chili Peppers first and Daft Punk came in second. And we've talked about them a few other times, I'm sure, because they just have to have come up. But now it's time for their very own episode. What else do you know by Daft Punk?
Other than stuff on this album?
Yeah. Were you around for Random Access Memories and Get Lucky and stuff?
I actually have a feeling I know more Daft Punk than I realize I know.
Probably.
I think Daft Punk is one of those artists that I don't realize it's them when I've heard it.
Yeah, it could be any two guys in robot masks.
It's true.
They have worked on a lot of other stuff, though. They've collaborated with some people on some very popular stuff.
Yeah.
Which we'll get into.
But I did know a decent amount of this album, actually.
Really? I think I probably only knew 3, maybe, of these before I picked up the album.
Really? I knew One More Time. I knew Harder, Better, Faster, Stronger.
Yeah.
I knew Something About Us. I knew Digital Love.
Wow. I think I maybe only knew One More Time and Harder, Better, Faster, Stronger.
Oh, and I think I knew Veridis Quo. Veridis Quo?
We'll get into that one. So you had a pretty high ratio of Daft Punk songs that you knew.
Yeah, 4 or 5.
That's pretty good. This is a longer album. You know, it's an hour, 14 tracks. So 5 is like a third of it.
Not much of a discovery.
Ugh, well, I did what I could.
Cancel the whole year.
No, no, we're so close. Well, let's learn about Daft Punk. You know all their music, or at least a third of it. Now you get to know all about them.
Only a third of it, or do I get to know all about them?
You don't get to know all about them. I can't teach you all about them. The Mixtaper is going to have to fill you in on some of it. But I can teach you a lot. It's been a long time since we've had a duo act on the podcast.
We're the only duo act this podcast needs.
Well, yeah, that's honestly a fair point. When was the last time? Tame Impala's just one guy. Let's see. Shoot, we haven't even done a lot of bands in the back half of the year of Discovery.
No, it's been a lot of solo artists.
Oh Wonder, I think, is our last duo act, 184.
Oh, okay.
And then Steely Dan, kind of. And there's Simon and Garfunkel.
We've got a few mixed in there.
Yeah, Public Enemy. We've had a few duos.
Duo.
But Daft Punk is the next one of them.
I was going to say Daryl Hall and John Oates, but
Oh, they are.
I don't know if they'd consider themselves a duo.
No, two separate artists making the same music. Plus, they were Year of Healing.
Yeah, I was just thinking about duos we'd done.
Yeah. Well, add Daft Punk to the list. For a long time, they were pretty anonymous, but we've since gotten to the bottom of their patent mystery and intrigue, and we know that Daft Punk is a pair of French guys.
Yeah. They eventually surrendered their anonymity.
They did. They became anonymous. They anonymized. Yeah, they're a pair of French guys. And again, pardon my English-ish pronunciation of French names. It looks like Thomas Bangalter. It's pronounced Thomas Bangalter.
Okay, so to be fair, I got that right.
You got it right?
Well, the last name. I was expecting to get, if you were like, oh, say that name, I would be like, I can get 50% of it. I did not get the 50% I thought I was going to get.
Thomas. You thought you had Thomas locked down?
I thought I had Thomas locked down.
Yep.
The French got me again.
Yep, they... Again? When did the French get you the first time?
We don't have time for that.
I guess not. So Thomas Bangalter is one of them, and the other one is Guy Manuel de Omem Cristo.
Okay, see, that time I got the parts right that I thought I'd get right.
Yeah? Which parts were that?
Guy and Cristo.
Oh, you went Guy instead of Guy. Bold move for you.
Well, I saw French.
I saw French and I panicked. I surrendered. But yeah, that's Daft Punk.
I know a decent amount of French.
Yeah, like what?
Baguette.
I knew you were going to say that. Pardon my French. Escargot.
Bonjour.
We'll have to have a good transcript so we could translate everything that we've just said. But for all of our audience in France, bonjour, yes.
Chevrolet.
Is that French?
I believe so.
Oh, it is a French surname, originally referring to a place where goats were raised. Because goat, like chèvre, I did not even think about that.
So wait, it's a goat car?
Well, it's more like a goat pasture, but it is the last name of one of its founders.
Well, I just mean like the car company, Chevrolet.
The last name of one of its founders, Louis Chevrolet. But Louis Chevrolet is Louis Sheep Pasture.
Goat pasture.
Right.
Don't conflate sheep and goat. That's offensive.
Sorry, I don't speak French.
See, look at that.
We know some French.
I was about to say, there's your English lesson.
No, that's wrong. Sacre Bleu.
I've seen Les Mis.
That's a good one. Starring Australian Hugh Jackman. So Daft Punk. They're two guys from France. They were school friends who met in 1987.
We were school friends who did not meet in 1987.
That's true. We're almost just like Daft Punk.
Which one would you be, Daft or Punk?
Oh, I'm definitely more punk than you are. And I think the opposite is true, too.
All right, well, that's hurtful. You could have just left it at the first one and implied the second one.
Apologies.
I'm just saying. Go on.
Well, these two buddies, they had a shared love of music, and they joined together and started a band. They joined with their buddy, I did not look up this pronunciation, although it's probably also French, Laurent Brankowitz. And they started a Beach Boys-inspired band by the name of Darlin, which is a very Beach Boys-inspired name. They got a little attention from a label, and a pair of their songs appeared on a big multi-artist EP that label put out. In total, Darlin would make 4 songs together and play 2 whole shows. Not really a lot.
Wow, that's half as many shows as songs.
Yeah, that's true. Math checks out. So it's not a lot. But after they disbanded, Bangalter took his 18th birthday money and he bought some electronic instruments. And history was made. The duo took the name Daft Punk directly from a negative review of their band Darlin. A critic decided that the band made a daft punky thrash. And they love that name right away. That's kind of a negative review, right? Daft and punky.
Do you think that was a British critic, or do French also say daft a lot? Because I always think of daft as being a bit of a British insult.
Yeah, it does sound British. It's probably a British insult. Let me look.
And the British do like to insult the French.
Oh, Daft Punk directly translates to Daft Punk in what? No. getting some interesting results on Google Translate. If I put in Daft Punk with capitalized letters at the front of the words, it just translates to French as Daft Punk. However, if I put in a capital D and a lowercase p, it says that the French is punk idiot. Probably pronounced punk idiot. Anyway, they liked the review. They loved the name Daft Punk, and it stuck right away. Guy Manuel said, "We struggled so long to find the name Darlin', and Daft Punk happened so quickly." In 1994, they put out their first music as Daft Punk. It was called The New Wave. A version of it would eventually be on their first record. And in 1995, their single Da Funk, with a DA, started to see commercial success. They were able to sign with Virgin Records. And it was also important to them that they kept a lot of creative control over their work. Obviously, this band is doing a lot of original and unique and creative things. So that was huge for their artistic growth. And in the meantime, their live shows took off too. They blended original songs with DJ mixes from their own record collection, and their fan base, took off. This was even back before they had their robot-like costumes and personas. Before there was any Daft Punk lore, they still put on a really good show. Their first proper studio album, Homework, came out in early 1997. Music Magazine called it one of the most hyped debut albums in a long, long time, and it lived up to all that hype. Of course, Homework is home to their iconic song Around the World from the 90s. It also charted in 14 countries. It really changed the international conversation around electronic music, and it especially shined a spotlight on the house and dance music that was coming out of France, especially. They started to turn heads, people started to take notice. Daft Punk also made their own record labels, right? Each one of them kind of made their own little label and side projects, like the one-hit wonder Stardust, who made the song Music Sounds Better With You. Do you know that song?
Not by title.
Dang. Oh, it's a great song. And it's like almost Daft Punk's side project.
Interesting.
Yeah. But this week we're talking about not their first album, but their sophomore album, and that is Discovery. They set out to do something a little different than their first record, and they wanted to push the boundaries even a little farther. They made the record over the course of 2 years, mostly at Banglater's house, and they started really leaning into and playing with science fiction tropes, right? Their robot personas kind of took center stage. The in-universe character lore is that they needed major reconstructive surgeries after their mixing console exploded at 9:09 a.m. on September 9th, 1999, which is interesting. That's the lore.
Yeah.
Then they went bam and had to become robots. You know how it is.
That's what happens. You had a Y2K.
Yeah, right on the cusp of Y2K, Daft Punk exploded.
Bad time to become robots.
Honestly, scary stuff. Probably sweating it out for the next 3 months, but they made it. They lived as robots and as people playing robots. You get it. But they even worked to make an anime movie based around the record. It's called Interstella 5555 or 5555, 5555. I don't know how they break it up. I don't speak French. It was cool. The movie idea replaced a very ambitious plan to make a music video for every single song. Instead of making a music video for 14 tracks, they made a movie using all 14 tracks and then kind of used the movie as the music videos. They also launched their very own website, which is a lot bigger of a deal in 2000 than it sounds like it is today.
Yeah.
We launched our own website for $12. And it was just easy. Daft Punk did it when it was hard. It was called Daft Club, and if you bought a Daft Punk CD, you got a personalized code that gave you a unique website experience.
Oh.
Yeah, which is pretty high tech.
We should give out codes with personalized website experiences.
That sounds a little too high tech for us, to be honest.
If they could do it in 2000.
Yeah, that's true. And another way that they leaned into sci-fi tropes was that they sampled a lot. This whole album is sample city. Whether they were old tracks that the duo ripped from or original samples that they created and then chopped up and used, Discovery is full of them. And we'll talk about all the cool places that they drew inspiration from and found music. They almost put out every single track on Discovery as a single, the Thriller effect. They thought about doing it to make all hits, all singles, but they ditched that idea. Instead, they just did 6. A little under half of this album made it out to single world. The biggest hits, of course, were One More Time and Harder, Better, Faster, Stronger. Even most casual listeners of Daft Punk would probably recognize those songs even a quarter of a century later. So they made a pretty big impression. Discovery came out on March 12th, 2001, and once again, it just changed the game. It evolved dance pop even more than Homework had. Like we just talked about with Cher, right? How Cher put out Believe and did autotune. Daft Punk were also early pioneers of intentional heavy autotune.
Oh, yeah.
Bangleterre said, "We were interested in making things sound like something other than what they are. There are guitars that sound like synthesizers, and there are synthesizers that sound like guitars." They just do a lot of rearranging and like subversion of instruments and sounds. Things that you'd expect or would have expected in 2001, Daft Punk turns on their heads. Now you expect it because Daft Punk did it, and it's been, again, a quarter of a century since they did it, so we're used to it. But man, back then, it was top-notch. Discovery hit number 2 on the UK and French album charts, and it debuted at number 23 in the US. By 2010, it would be certified gold over here. Rolling Stone would rank Discovery the 236th greatest album of all time. And when it came out, some people were hard on it, but more than a few critics have had to come out and offer retractions and updated thoughts on Discovery. Lots were really tough on it in the moment, but, you know, people have come to see it as ahead of its time. Also interesting, I found that the album credits Tony Gardner for his bionics engineering. And I don't know what that means or what he did exactly, but I'd be willing to bet that Discovery is probably the first album we've ever talked about that credits a bionics engineer in the liner notes. What do you think that is? Did he do things with like their robot suits?
Bionic kind of implies that, like combining machine and nature, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I guess.
That's pretty cool. I also wonder if they just put that credit in there as like a tongue-in-cheek kind of thing, like an in-universe nod to the robot bit. Maybe we'll never know. But that's Discovery. That's how we're closing out the year of Discovery. But of course, this album is only a midpoint in Daft Punk's career. Their third record, Human After All, did pretty well. They got to direct the 2006 sci-fi film Electroma. They also got to compose the score for Disney's Tron Legacy, which is, perfect.
That's awesome.
What a great decision, right? If I'm Disney, Daft Punk is the perfect band to score my Tron movie. The duo's fourth and final full LP, Random Access Memories, came out in 2013 to rave reviews. That won the duo 5 Grammys, and Get Lucky became the biggest Daft Punk hit of all time. Afterwards, they continued to work on projects here and there. They did guest appearances and producing and features. They were prominently featured on 2 hit singles from The Weeknd's record Starboy, both the title track and I Feel It Comin'. Do you know either of those?
Not by name.
Wow. We haven't done an episode on The Weeknd yet. Maybe we will someday. Sadly, though, tragedy. Daft Punk announced that they were breaking up via a YouTube video in early 2021.
I remember that.
You remember it?
I don't even listen to Daft Punk, really. I'm not I wouldn't consider myself a big Daft Punk fan.
You only knew a third of the songs on this album.
Yeah, but I'm not like a big, I'm not a Daft head.
Uh-huh.
Even I heard about that. I was like, oh no, not Daft Punk.
Me too.
I just always was like, those are 2 funky dudes living the best life out there.
Yes.
And now they're just 2 dudes living the best life separately.
It's true. I hadn't listened to any Daft Punk at that point, and I always assumed I would have more time. You know, I was doing albums of the month for years at that point, and I had been eyeing up Random Access Memories and thinking about it, and I just never got around to it, and then, man, suddenly, you don't know what you got till it's gone.
I still think they should have retired by simply getting 2 other people to take up the mantle, but not tell anyone, and see how long it took for people to realize that 2 other people were now in the robot costumes.
Oh, that's a good idea in theory, but then what if they're not as good, and you just risk your reputation and the brand?
Well, you gotta vet them.
Vet them. That's true.
Vet them and then slowly, maybe work them in. Don't cold turkey it, so that there's a blending of the styles if there is minor differences.
That's a cool idea.
It's a pretty punk idea.
Yeah, it is. They didn't do that, unfortunately. They announced the split in a YouTube video where, one of the robots just blew up, I think. They, showed a clip of one of the robots exploding. I don't know.
Oh.
And it wasn't really a breakup so much as they just retired, right? It was an amicable split.
If they ever come out of retirement, they have to give, a whole video explaining how the robot somehow lived through the explosion.
Yeah, they rebuilt it or something. Yeah.
Michael Myers style.
Somehow, Palpatine returned.
Yeah, we're just oh yeah, we shot him and he fell off a roof and obviously would have died, but a blind doctor who didn't know who he was nursed him back to health or whatever.
I've not seen the Halloween movies. That doesn't make sense to me, but what a wild ride.
Me neither.
The breakup was pretty amicable, though. They said they were just going in different directions, and it wasn't even really a split because they still shared a studio and gear for years afterwards, probably still to this day.
Yeah, why wouldn't you? If it was amicable.
Right, exactly.
That'd be like if you and I decided it was time to stop doing the podcast mutually, and then both did other podcasts.
Yeah, that's kind of what it would be like. But yeah, they just sunset the project. Banglater said, as much as I love this character, the last thing I would want to be in the world we live in 2023 is a robot. And I think that's fair. You know, that's cool. In this AI kind of world, Daft Punk definitely feels like a project that had its window to thrive. Not that they couldn't still be great, you know, but just the whole conversation around digital and created music has really changed a lot in the last 2 or 3 years. It was a bummer, but man, was it ever good for business. Daft Punk music saw a 2,600% gain in sales after they announced the breakup, which is wild. So that's Daft Punk, start to finish. Who knows what's next? Is it anything? I don't know. Time will tell. As far as Daft Punk's awards and accolades go, they are members of the Order d'Art et de Lettres. Again, I'm not speaking French, but that's an order of merit in France. I assume it's almost like an artistic knighthood of sorts. They're also regularly included on the list of top DJs and producers in electronica and in music. They've earned 15 major awards on 45 nominations, including 2 Billboard Music Awards in 2014, a Brit Award for International Group, a BMI R&B and Hip Hop Award for their work with The Weeknd, and they won a total of 7 Grammys on 13 nominations, including a 2014 Album of the Year for Random Access Memories. So that's huge. And they've also won 6 International Dance Music Awards. So that's all I can tell you about Daft Punk. But now it's time for the Daft Stirred, the Mixtaper.
Oh no, don't give him that idea.
It's too late. It's already been said. The Mixtaper is going to come out and play Factor Spin, where he tells me 4 new things about Daft Punk, and I have to decide whether they're true or false. Man, what a way to end the year of discovery. I bet we're going to discover a lot of really wild things in this round of Factor Spin.
We'll have to find out. Let's get him on out here.
Yes, let's.
Hey, it's me, the Mixtaper.
Hello, Mixtaper. You ready to wrap up this year?
What has been your favorite discovery from Factor Spin this year?
Oh, great question. Wow. There have been some really good facts and spins this year. Some of my favorites are, whether they're true or not, I won't spoil here. Some of my favorite Factor Spin rounds have been Jay-Z's space shuttle that he kept outside of his stadiums to try and do some kind of lighting effect at his shows.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
I really like the hot mess that was the Creedence Clearwater episode about them singing in Russian.
That was a hot mess.
I was a big fan of Nico from the Velvet Underground and Nico being married to the inventor of the glue stick.
That is probably a standout one, yeah.
I like that one a lot. Paul Simon getting boycotted by the UN was a hit. John Denver's head getting stolen. The Barbershop expansion for Matchbox 20 was fun. Beyonce's 80,000 Bees were unbelievable. Prince smelling McDonald's and giving everybody diarrhea were 2 big ones. Sabrina Carpenter's Chef Dad, I really enjoyed. X-Ray Chef Dad.
X-Ray Chef Dad.
Bougie Poogie.
It's been some good ones.
And James Brown's bathroom shotgun chase. St. Vincent's neon pink womb cube.
A lot of interesting things learned in the year of discovery.
Van Moron. No doubt. I've learned so much.
And it's time to learn 4 more.
Yes. Let's go.
I have a question for you.
Okay. Answer for you, perhaps?
You know, like those delivery robots that will be on like the sidewalks or whatever and like go to stores and get stuff and take them to places that they use in like big cities?
Delivery robots? Not like drones. You're talking like a driving delivery robot?
Yeah, like a little driving robot. And how they usually don't work out because people are mean to the robots and either destroy them or make them inoperable or steal them or move them.
Yeah.
People mess with the robots so they've never really worked every time they've tried.
Sure.
What's like the worst thing that could happen? Do you think that would be like that robot like crossing the street and like a car hitting it, right? That'd be pretty rough.
That's a pretty rough one. That's a hard way to go.
Yeah. Well, Tommy Boy was almost like one of those robots because he was almost hit by a truck.
Oh gosh. What a roundabout way to introduce this fact.
Here's a better title for it. Tommy Boy almost shared a death day with Kurt Cobain.
Oh, wow. That's interesting. No correlation between the two, obviously. Probably on separate sides of the world.
Oh, yes.
Just making sure. So this is what, the mid-90s? He almost gets hit by a truck. Is he walking in the road?
Yeah.
Or is the truck somewhere it shouldn't be?
Yeah. The truck was where it was supposed to be. Tommy Boy was not.
Oh, where was he?
Well, he was crossing the road, but he shouldn't have been in front of the moving car.
Well, I suppose. Was he like in a crosswalk legally crossing, or was he jaywalking?
I don't know, but I'm gonna guess jaywalking because of the circumstances.
And by the circumstances, you mean that the truck almost hit him?
That and the drugs he was on.
Oh, that's going to be a part of this. Yeah, sure. What drugs was he on?
Ecstasy.
That's, yeah, interesting. So how does he avoid getting hit by the truck? Does he run out of the way? Does the truck slow down or swerve in time? Are we talking like pickup truck or semi-truck or some other kind of truck in the middle?
Simply truck. Don't know what kind.
Okay.
He pulls him back in the nick of time.
Whoa.
Like that classic like thing in the movie where like somebody's on the phone and steps out and somebody grabs him and yanks them back.
That's wild. What was his reaction to this?
Well,
I mean, if he's under the influence, probably pretty stressful.
yeah, the whole situation shook both of them to the point that it was the last time either of them did ecstasy.
Wow, not even one more time. They quit living the high life. What a way to get off drugs. To quit cold turkey. You almost die and that's it. The end. And this is the same day Kurt Cobain died, just coincidentally.
Yeah.
This is an interesting little tidbit, I guess.
If it's true.
Yeah, I'm going to say it's true. I think substance abuse can take the mind all sorts of places and would certainly make you less aware that you were crossing the street in front of a truck. And obviously, he wasn't struck and killed by a truck, like one of those little driving robots, because he lived.
So is that your answer? You're locking in fact?
Yeah, I think I'll lock in fact.
Would you be angry to learn that the whole thing is true, except it being on the same day as Kurt Cobain's death?
Yes, I think that would make it not count as a spin.
Well, I mean, it was part. I did change the title to that,
But, like, not really.
well, lucky for you, it's still a fact.
Oh, thank goodness. That would have been a new low. That would have been a new low on the year of Discovery. Scary stuff, those trucks, man. What are speed limits like in France? They're probably in kilometers.
Yeah, which means they're fast.
Yeah, and the hours are all in a different time zone. So much math,
Get the squirrels.
right?
So I just really thought it was a crazy coincidence that one, just a crazy close call, but also same day Kurt Cobain died.
Yeah, okay. The average speed limits in France are 31 miles per hour in urban areas, 50 miles per hour on two-lane roads, 68 on divided highways, and 80 on a freeway. That's all miles per hour. The kilometer numbers make way more sense. They're not like 31, you know?
Our next fact: they once performed with metal garbage cans on their head.
That's fun, but their music sounded like trash. Just kidding. Is this like a precursor to the robot costumes? Where in their career does this happen?
Yeah, this is early in their career before the legendary helmets were built.
Okay. Just trying to be shocking and memorable? Or was there other motivation?
Mainly to protect their anonymity.
Oh,
And then probably a little bit to be shocking. I mean, there are easier ways to be anonymous than trash cans.
sorry.
So,
So you're saying they put full trash cans over their heads?
oh, yeah.
Got it.
Metal garbage cans.
For some reason, you said metal garbage, and I just thought the lid of a metal trash can like a hat. But you're talking they just put the whole garbage can over their heads.
Yeah.
That'd be so hot and loud and echoey and heavy.
Yeah.
Did they cut eye holes out and like ventilation? Could they see?
I do not know. I assume they cut eye holes, but how else would you see?
Intuition, I guess. How big were these trash cans? I mean, when I think metal trash can, I think like outdoors, pretty sizable circumference. Like it would fit over my whole shoulders, probably, in my imagination.
Yeah, unfortunately, no picture exists that I could find.
Ah, curse you, 90s.
I know. But yeah, they tried tons of different things to cover their face. Trash cans, Halloween, masks, all sorts of stuff.
The classics.
They said it was a fun way to stand out but stay anonymous, and that they're very thankful for their helmets, which have fancy features like built-in air conditioning and communication systems.
Yeah, thank goodness. It's probably a very critical part of the endeavor to not overheat and pass out and to be able to talk to each other.
Yeah.
High tech. Do we know anything about their helmets? I guess I never looked into it. Just aside from the fact, do we know like who made them, how much they cost, how many different kinds they have?
No, but we should.
We should. Wow. This figure says that the two helmets cost over $60,000 to make.
Oh, I did have that number.
Oh, cool. Well, so do I.
So what's your answer on this one? Fact or spin?
Garbage cans on the head is funny. Anonymity is cool. I think this is a spin. I think they probably did things to protect their anonymity, but I think you knew that they did or tried to and thought garbage cans would be very funny. And it is, but I think it's a spin.
This is a true fact.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, they tried all sorts of stuff. Trash cans, Halloween masks. And here's the thing that really cracks me up. I don't know which one they tried first, but they also tried trash bags.
Oh, gosh. Maybe they did both. They put the bag on first and then put the can over top of it.
To me, it's like they tried the trash bags and they were like, "Oh, this is like too like sticks, clings to you, less harder to breathe in. So let's try trash cans."
Level up. Then they did dumpsters. And that was a whole dumpster fire.
But now we go from their humble beginnings into a time when they were already famous and tried to contact alien robots.
Whoa.
That's my fact for you. Daft Punk tried to contact alien robots.
Couple questions here. First of all, sincerely, was this like a publicity stunt, a bit, part of a lore thing, or was this a real, genuine attempt?
I would say both.
Okay.
A genuine attempt was made, but I think it was mainly for the bit.
Right, so they did it in real life for publicity. Kind of like the way that humans like sent that record up into space.
Yeah.
Like, nobody's ever going to find it or get it, but it's up there now. Alien robots is also a really interesting concept because a robot is a robot. You know what I mean? Like, alien robot feels...
But an alien robot is a robot not from here.
It's just a robot from somewhere else.
Like R2-D2.
That's true. He would be an alien robot.
Exactly.
What do they do to contact alien robots? Do they send something into space? Do some radio waves?
Yeah, they beam one of their songs into deep space.
Which song, first of all?
Their single Contact, which I think is a perfect choice.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, making contact with the alien species. Not even really a species. See?
The alien robot species.
I suppose. Well, how do you beam something into deep space? What do you need to do that?
Using the Deep Space Network?
Yes, of course. Silly me. What's that? Does NASA have some big, like, space beamer set up?
Yeah, well, the Deep Space Network, or, the DSN.
Ooh, clever.
It's NASA's international network of large antennas that facilitate communication with spacecraft exploring the solar system and beyond. So it's how it's able to beam, like, stuff to and from, like, some of the rovers that go way out there.
Yeah.
And, like, the different satellites and stuff that they just, like, let's shoot this thing as far as possible and see what it finds.
Love that kind of stuff. Like, why not,
There's a series of satellites. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Looks like 6 in Madrid, 4 in Goldstone, U.S., and 1, 2, 3, 4 in Canberra.
Nice. How far do they think the song can go? Like, beaming it into deep space, what distance do you project that your song gets? I know, there's no air up there, but at some point the waves are going to disperse and slow down and not endure eternally.
Actually, I believe scientists think that it does go forever.
Really? I mean, until it hits something.
Let's see here. The concept that waves, including electromagnetic waves like light, can travel forever in space is supported by the principles of wave propagation. As waves travel through space, they spread out in all directions, filling a volume that increases with the square of the distance from the source. This means that the intensity of the wave decreases with distance, but the wave itself continues to exist and propagate indefinitely.
So it just gets really bad.
Yeah.
The song gets really, really slow eventually.
But yet it also says here that sound waves require a medium to propagate, whereas light can travel through a vacuum without dissipating. So I'm really still not sure how they beam like a song into deep space, because that would be a sound. But I don't know. How much did they spend on this? How much does it cost? Let's say I, not Daft Punk, want to beam a song into space. 1, do I have access to such capabilities? And 2, how much would I spend? Let's put a podcast episode out there. This one. Hey, alien robots, if you're listening to this, just know that we succeeded. Can I use NASA's Deep Space Network? Yes? Excuse me, Google?
What, really? That's so cool.
I feel like the answer is, I think Google's answering from a technically you can, like using, not you as in like specifically
It
me.
is just usable. Yeah.
It was just very weird to type that in and then immediately get a big bold yes. It was like, what?
Can NASA offer me their deep space network? Yes.
They could.
Yes. On a hot summer night.
But anyway, to answer your question, we're going to have to play everybody's second favorite Spin It podcast game show.
Of course.
Guess that dollar amount.
It's been so long. Snuck it in the last episode of the year, Discovery. So you need what? 4 or 5 minutes of broadcast time on the Deep Space Network. It's gotta be $100,000 or more.
Yeah, maybe.
No, you just don't know?
Yeah, I don't have a number. I wanted to get a guess that dollar amount in here, really just break your spirit a little.
It did. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if like this was a promotional thing for NASA as well. So they just kind of were like, yeah, sure, we're already. Oh, they did time it with an international launch event, so maybe it was also to like drum up promotion for the launch event. They were like, oh, hey, Daft Punk fans,
Come watch this rocket and listen to Daft Punk.
yeah,
That's a pretty cool afternoon in my book.
yeah, I'd do that. But is this a true fact?
Alien robots is so specific. I like this. I think this is a fact.
This is a true fact.
That's awesome.
And they even joked that if aliens did respond, they'd want royalties.
That'd be a lot of royalties. That'd be enough royalties to pay for the Deep Space Network.
Yeah.
Hey, everybody. This is James and Connor from the future.
We're in the future.
Yeah, we just wanted to interject here and let you know that our Mixtaper friend got a little too enthusiastic on this one, and he called this one a fact when it's definitely not a fact.
Yeah, it's not a fact. It's a spin. Yeah, I think he's a little hyper. Maybe a little over-caffeinated on pumpkin spice lattes or something.
Something like that. Yeah, Daft Punk never used the Deep Space Network. I tried looking it up after the episode, got no hits. And when I texted the Mixtaper about it, he said, oops, I think I misread my notes. And I meant to say spin. Because he was going to send me sources to back himself up and then realized that he couldn't.
Yep. So we had to put in a little record scratch here. A little addendum.
Yeah, we had to set the record straight. And he's been properly reprimanded off the air. He's in timeout right now. We took away his blimp keys. He's literally grounded.
Oh, no, not his blimp key. That's a little cruel.
Just for a week. Anyway, now back to Factor Spin. Alien robots, do you think they'd use the same electricity and like circuitry that we are familiar with?
Well,
Maybe they've got other ways of doing things.
if you get the theory of like infinite space out there, I mean, there's probably alien species that do things completely different and aren't even like carbon-based life forms. And then there's probably other carbon-based life forms out there who have made similar discoveries.
True.
But now it's time for our final ramp.
Our final ramp. Yes, this will be the 828th Factor Spin question to end the year of discovery.
Give or take. The final round of Factor Spin in the year of discovery.
Wow.
We gotta make it a big one.
We do. What are we discovering?
Daft Punk has a worm named after them.
Oh my gosh.
That's right, folks. We have a returning fact.
Oh boy. So, this is a wild one. Okay, the end of the year discovery, discovering a worm. This fact first showed up on our Santana episode 101. Mm-hmm. It's been more than 100 weeks, almost 2 years.
Then we've been trying to discover the true artist that this fact belongs to. Will it be today?
Maybe. We know it wasn't Santana.
The only other time this fact has come up, I think, is on Reba.
Yes, with the reboid worms that are really not called reboids. They're from that movie, Tremors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look at you go.
Thank you. Big Tremors fan. Never seen it. Still. Daft Punk has a worm named after them. Yeah, this fact doesn't come up often. Now, in the Share episode, you did give us a heads up that one of the episodes between then and, what'd you say, 215-ish, would have a true returning fact. So, that's exciting.
This could be it.
What's the Daft Punk worm called?
I'm gonna butcher it, I'm sure.
That's okay. You don't speak worm.
Basilelia Daft Punka.
Okay. What kind of worm is it? Where was it discovered? When was it discovered?
It's a flatworm.
Oh, that's a gnarly kind of worm. How'd it get named after Daft Punk?
Their shape, specifically their stylets, which is apparently a hard, sharp anatomical structure found in some invertebrates, looks like the duo's signature helmets.
They have Daft Punk looking like
Stylets. They have Daft Punk looking sharp anatomical structures.
where at? On their backs or faces? Where do these stylets?
It's, I think, that kind of a primitive form of a mouth,
Okay.
according to this Wikipedia article on stylets.
They've got Daft Punk stylets. When was this discovered?
2018.
Still pretty recent.
7 years ago. And for any of those playing along at home, a flatworm is a soft-bodied invertebrate that has no specialized circulatory or respiratory organs and are therefore restricted to having flattened shapes that allow oxygen and nutrients to pass through their bodies by diffusion.
Wow.
And their digestive cavity has only one opening for both ingestion and egestion.
And that's where Daft Punk is.
I guess.
It's the mouth and the butt. This is so frustrating. Could this be the true fact that comes back? It is the recurring fact that's recurred the least. Mm-hmm. I did have Daft Punk on the schedule when you said that, I think. So it does count.
You had up through 215 on the schedule up through then.
You're right.
So that's why I picked between 215.
That's true. No, I don't think it's the Daft Punk worm. It's interesting that it could look like their helmets. That's kind of a fun wormish feature. But I don't know. Their helmets are pretty big in 3D, and this is a flat worm. Like,
Yeah, and I doubt it has any neon lights.
well, it's true, probably. And none of the communication systems or built-in air conditioning of a Daft Punk helmet. So this flatworm might as well have trash cans on its mouth, right? I just think you'd be hard-pressed as a scientist probably to look at two little parts of your flatworm and go, oh, look, it's just like Daft Punk. I just don't... It's like picking out a shape in the clouds, you know what I mean? I don't know if that's it. So I think I'm going to say that this one is a spin and not the true occurrence of our recurring fact. I think there's something else out there to discover.
Well, has any of our recurring facts ever been found?
Yes, only one, and it was the Titanic one.
Well,
Back in the Reba kind of days, where Reba almost went down with the ship because she almost played
yeah.
the unsinkable Molly Brown in Titanic.
That's right. That one I knew was going to come up a few episodes later.
Like SZA, Adele, Reba, all three got that one.
Yeah.
But otherwise, we've had no recurring resolutions.
And then there was the, of course, OG recurring fact, which was roommates with Jamie Foxx back to back.
Oh, that's true. That one got a really quick resolution as well.
But yeah, we've had the four main ones going for about 2 years now.
Half of them came up on the same episode. The thing that trips me up about this one is we did just talk about Daft Punk in the 90s episode 90, and then Santana's Worm showed up in episode 101. Very close together, those two episodes. And so that's a little suspicious. Like, you could have been looking up facts about Daft Punk for the 90s episode and then decided to carry the worm over into the Santana episode. I think that makes a lot of sense to me. However, I think it's just a head fake altogether, and I don't think the worm...
Head fake. Because of the helmets.
Because of the helmets. Exactly. I just don't think the worm belongs here. I think our recurring fact probably isn't even going to be the worm.
He's never been more right, yet so wrong, because this is a true fact!
This is a true fact? The worm! We found the worm!
Not only was Connor super excited when you suggested Daft Punk for 200, but I was as well, because what an ending to the year of discovery!
Wow, we discovered Daft Punka. But what Daft Punka?
Here, I'll give it to you. You try to pronounce it. I already did my best take at it.
Well, I don't speak French.
Well, it's not French. It actually was discovered in British Columbia, Canada.
Oh, what do you think they speak in Canada?
Well, it depends on the part of Canada. I don't know where the divide is.
British Columbia is way on the west. It's Vancouver-ish.
So I think that's the English part.
Bicollelia Daft Punka.
There you go.
Do you have a picture of this worm?
Boy, did I try to find one.
You don't have a picture of the Daft Punka worm.
No, there's not one on their Wikipedia page. And a Google search didn't yield promising results either. But here's kind of the style worm. Not the exact one, but this is like in its family. This is like its cousin.
I see. I've found a picture of the worm, but it doesn't have Daft Punk parts.
Well, are you sure it's the right worm? Because I was getting a lot of not actually the right worms when I did it.
Oh, I think I see it.
Oh, did you find it?
Well, maybe.
So it's saying those two dots are supposed to be the...
No, not the two dots. See the area around the, like, look at the tip of the arrow and then follow that kind of indentation around. It's like a Daft Punk helmet.
Oh, I do see it.
Now, it makes me wonder if all flatworms have this same, like, kind of indentations. Could they all be Daft Punkas?
Probably not. That one looks very different than the one I posted.
That's true. We found it.
Yeah, we had our first long-term recurring fact.
Amazing. It's not the Santana worm, it's the Daft Punk worm. I'm gonna have to change how I think about it.
Yep. And I said you've never been so right, but so wrong because you nailed how I found this.
Yeah,
I discovered this during the 90s episode.
I was worried about that.
And ended up not using it and then said, we're definitely going to do Daft Punk someday.
Someday in the far future. 2 years. Hence, we use the Deep Podcast Network to beam this one 100 episodes down the line. Look at that. 101. He has an animal named after him. We've had other true animals named after people.
We've had the Johnny Cashy.
Yeah, a lot of spiders.
Yeah, a lot of spiders.
But
only one worm.
And this is it, the real worm. Well, we've closed that can of worms.
Oh, yeah, I was so excited when you suggested Daft Punk for 200.
That's wild.
Not only just because the album was called Discovery, I was like, that's great. But then I was like, I get to end the year Discovery with one of the recurring facts.
And And the worm was such an unassuming one to have come back.
I know.
The biggies are still out there. That's awesome. I am not too upset with a 50-50 there. I can't believe I missed all this time and all this anticipation to prepare for the arrival of the worm, and I missed it. I hope I have better luck on Plain Hat and Ryan the Ghost.
If you miss Ryan the Ghost.
I'll never forgive myself. I don't know what we'll have to do then. This is a wild round of Factor Spin. We kind of went all sizes here, from the size of a flatworm to deep space. Covered a lot of ground in the Daft Punk Discovery episode.
Well, there's a lot to discover in deep space. Well, that's all I got. Time to go get ready for next year.
You got to prepare. Next year's going to be a wild one.
I got 365 days to prepare.
Yeah, you've had a long time to prepare for next year. But I guess during that time you were busy doing this year, so.
Yeah, I'm just a big procrastinator.
That makes sense to me, yeah.
Saved 365 days of preparation for the final day.
Cram it all in. Just get it all out of the way at once.
But there's only one thing left to do in the year of Discovery for me.
Yeah, we'll see you in year 5.
Yeah!
There he goes. Welcome back, Connor. Can't believe we found that worm.
I'm so glad we found the worm. One less hanging over our heads.
That's true.
I always worry that the Mixtaper is going to try to hit me with one of them.
Oh, gosh. Imagine that.
Imagine what would happen if I missed one after all the work you've done to try to track them down.
Yeah, that'd be pretty sad.
But I'm really glad we're doing an electronic, space, undertone themed band and artist to round out the year of Discovery.
Yeah.
Because I really wanted to bring this kind of album for the year of Discovery myself. Because I was like, had this whole thing kind of going with my picks of like, oh, you know, we set out on this voyage right across the water.
That's true.
We talked to the fish in the bird cage.
Yeah, with the Wellerman and then fish in the bird cage and then...
And then I was going to be like, what's like the final frontier for Discovery? Space! And I was going to take us to space.
Yeah, we already did flying.
Yeah.
And then we'd fly into space. That's smart.
Exactly.
You had a whole arc planned.
I had a whole arc planned, and I was one pick shy of getting there. So I'm glad you picked it for me.
Yeah, you can take your next pick and fly us to the moon or something.
Maybe I will.
But yes, I picked it for you.
Should we talk about album art?
Album art, yes, let's. Honestly, a hard album to make graphics for our podcast. Nowhere to put the logo here.
You didn't want to like silverify our logo and then make it look melted?
Yeah, I don't really know how to do liquid metal photography.
Sounds like a you problem.
It certainly is. But this liquid metal photo is created by Michael Feinberg. I went to his website, looked up a lot of other stuff he's done. He shoots luxury still life images. So that's cool.
And what is a luxury still life image?
It's like a still life image, but perhaps more luxurious. Still lifes, like baskets of fruit and stuff. But his are like...
Yeah, so he's doing like grapes and wine?
Pinkies up.
Instead of a fruit basket?
Yeah. His website is full of stuff like that.
What's his name?
Mitchell Feinberg. He's done like jewelry, shots, and other things.
Oh, yeah, he's like this whole one of like purses and shoes on looking silk fabric that matches their color tones.
Yeah, luxury still life.
Wow, that's a weird one. I want this one. Hey, if you're looking for a gift for me for this year's Spinmas, consider this.
Oh, it's like a little minion, but if it was on Yo Gabba Gabba and puffed.
Very weird.
Luxury still life.
Why is it all so many purses? Are purses that luxurious, I guess?
Well, that's what he does. I mean, he gets contracted by these brands, I'm sure. He shoots some cool pictures. He's a good gift for this album.
Yeah, it's a very nice skit.
Yeah. I like the rainbow kind of aesthetic underneath it. It's very, like, minimalist, but there's intrigue going on. The rainbow kind of gives it a little pop of color, a little pizzazz, a little wow factor.
Sure.
It kind of takes their Homework album, which looks like it's from the 90s, and pushes it certainly far into the new millennium.
I just want to know how he did it.
I know. I want to know the process.
Like, the color is, like, CGI'd into it after the fact, right? There's no way this is...
I don't know. He could have put lights underneath it and poured metal on top, but it's definitely like in their specific font.
Like if it wasn't for this was 2001, I would have said this was like CGI'd or like, photoshopped in, like it was created using a computer.
You'd think, but he's definitely a photographer.
But he's a photographer and it was 2001, which makes me think this is all practical with maybe some slight touch-ups.
Yeah.
Or enhancements. So I don't know.
Really curious about it. Daft Punk, if you're listening. Mitchell Feinberg, if you're listening. Love your work. Tell us How'd you do it? Do you think Daft Punk just could listen to podcasts in their own robot heads?
Probably. They have communication systems.
Yeah, that's true. Anyway, I like it a lot. I think it's a great album cover. It's futuristic. It's funky. It's very Daft Punk. And then we've got 14 tracks to talk about. I'm excited to talk about them. I'm excited to get your takes on them. Some of these tracks are really interesting. They exhibit qualities that you've been critical of in the past.
Yeah, like what?
Well, for example, some of them are too long, quite literally. Some of them are very repetitive, like One More Time or Superheroes or others. Like, I'm just curious to see what hits and what misses for you on this album.
Well, only one way to find out.
That's right.
And it's for me to tell you as we go track by track.
Yeah, it's pretty true. Up first, One More Time. Great opening track. Lead single. One More Time topped the charts in France, hit number 2 in the UK, and went to number 61 in the US. It ended up being their highest charting single in the UK until Get Lucky. And it was widely considered one of the best songs of the year and even the decade. Rolling Stone said it was the 307th greatest song of all time as of 2010.
This genre of music just lends itself to being repetitive, though.
Yeah, it does.
To kind of get that out front.
It's dancey, and it's sampley.
Yeah.
That's cool. This song samples a song called More Spell on You by Eddie Johns. That song's from 1979. And interestingly, like because of the way the rights were sold and stuff, Eddie Johns never saw any royalties.
Really?
They paid his publisher, and the publisher said they could never track him down, never find him. So apparently he was like hurting for money, and his streaming royalties for One More Time could be as high as 7 figures, a ton of money, and he just couldn't get them. Couldn't access them, they couldn't find him. So that's wild.
Couldn't find the publisher.
They couldn't find Eddie Johns. The publisher couldn't find Eddie Johns.
Gotcha.
Yeah, the song transferred ownership, and they could never track him down to pay him.
I see. Weird.
Also, the song's vocals are done by the DJ Romanthony. Daft Punk said, "We thought the funkiness of his voice fit the funkiness of the music."
I like that they slow it down in the middle.
Yeah.
It's a good little break up.
Yeah, it gives the song a good sense of dynamics. Like, it's not all on all the time.
This is exactly the kind of music I would want on in like at like a party where I'm like wanting to vibe like this, but not necessarily. This album, I'll get this out front too, was a little hard to just sit down and listen to all the way straight through and like try to take notes on.
It can be, yes. Yeah, it's tricky. A lot of these tracks are instrumentals. I think a lot of them kind of sound similar and have the same kind of through thread, the Daft Punkiness. And so you kind of run out of things to like say about them after a certain point. But they're all really good. It is a great album to put on when you're doing other things, half focused, driving.
I do think this is an album I'm going to add to my needs to clean the apartment playlist.
Absolutely, you should do that.
Like just throw this on, turn it up, and get cleaning.
That's true. I like this song. The band wanted One More Time to be kind of a transitional link between Homework and Discovery. They finished the song in 1998, right after Homework came out, and then, as they say, it sat on a shelf for 2 years until Discovery was ready. So it's kind of from the old era, ushering in this new Daft Punk, which is so cool. They also loved, as you can tell, using tools like autotune in fun ways. They saw it as a way to evolve sound, rather than like replace old instruments and old ways of doing things. People were worried that autotune was going to replace traditional instruments, and Daft Punk came on and said, no. We still want to use guitars and guitar solos. We still want to use vocals and stuff. We don't want to get rid of all that. We just want to mix it up. And if you like guitar solos, you probably liked Aerodynamic.
It's an Aerodynamic song.
It is.
Really soars.
Yeah, it starts with that big ominous bell, and it's so cool. It's an instrumental. Aerodynamic is, and it's 3.5 minutes, a much more normal song length than One More Time, which is a little bit longer. On the longer side, but not overly long, I think. Aerodynamic charted at number 34 in France and 97 in the UK, and it samples a 1982 song by Sister Sledge called Il Maquillage Lady, and it features that sick guitar solo.
It goes on for so long.
Really? This one feels long to you?
Just the guitar solo in general goes on for a long time. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. It just like never ends.
No.
It's like, let's go. Take a moment, guitar.
No moments can be taken. Can't afford to. It's a pretty sick guitar solo. It's a lot of fun. The band wanted to, as they said, blend past and future, maybe the present, in their work. So the guitar solo in these big electronic samples was an attempt to kind of bridge that gap. I love their disco sampling. It just goes so well. Bangleterre said, Some people might think that the guitar solos on Aerodynamic are in bad taste, but for us, it's all about being true to ourselves and not caring what other people would think. We really tried to include most of the things we liked as kids and bring that sense of fun to it. So, in addition to, this 1982 Sister Sledge song, you will find a lot of late 70s and 80s disco and funk in their sample repertoire. I think that's great. I also love the drums on Aerodynamic. They really accent the beat very, very well. And they slow it way down in the middle of Aerodynamic, too. Kind of a trend so far. Scale it back a couple minutes in, keep them guessing, keep them interested. So you knew one more time, you didn't know Aerodynamic.
Did not.
Did you say you did know Digital Love?
Yeah. Digital Love? I know Digital Love.
Oh, I did not. But wow, do I ever now. I love this song.
Oh, it's such a good song.
So good. It's the third single from Discovery. It hit number 33 in France, 14 in the UK, which makes it a rare instance where it did better abroad than at home. It also went to number 9 on the US Dance and Club chart, so that's cool. That guitar progression in the beginning and throughout is lifted very directly from I Love You More by George Duke from 1979. I just think it's so fun to go listen to stuff that's been sampled and hear how it's originally used. Be able to recontextualize, to reverse engineer and think man, Daft Punk heard this song and imagined Digital Love over top of it. What a cool experience. So, go listen to some of these samples if you can. That sheds new light on their creative process.
Heck yeah.
But Digital Love has such a good melody. And I like how it's kind of reserved, the voice in One More Time, DJ Romanthony, his voice was big and loud and heavily auto-tuned and kind of in your face. Digital Love is quieter and scaled back. It's kind of like that little voice in the back of your head. The mid filters are turned down way low, so it's kind of like coming through a telephone at you. I just really like the vibes.
It's good vibes, yeah. Well, I have a lot of real life love for Digital Love.
Analog love.
Analog love.
I have a lot of analog love in my heart for the song Digital Love. It's 100,000 times better than Digital Get Down, that NSYNC song we talked about where they're sexting on flip phones. Hated that one.
Yeah, that one was a little rough.
Digital Love, much better. Well, up next is the big hit from the album, another one that we both knew beforehand. Harder, Better, Faster, Stronger.
I think this is up there for, I think a lot of people who don't even, really know anything about Daft Punk know this song, right?
Yeah, it kind of escaped containment. I don't know why it got so popular. Well, I do know part of why it got so popular, and that is, you're not going to like it, on the part of Kanye West.
Why am I not going to like it?
Because it's Kanye West.
What's my problem with Kanye West?
Well, he needs to take notes and learn how to rhyme, I think you said about him.
I don't know if I've ever said a bad thing about Kanye. No.
You maybe should consider it, because there are some other reasons you should not like Kanye at this particular point in history.
Yeah.
But we'll get to that. Well, before we get to what Kanye did with Harder, Better, Faster, Stronger, we got to talk about what Daft Punk did with it. This was the 4th single, and it won a Grammy for Best Dance Recording in 2009. It also went to number 17 in France, 25 in the UK, and number 3 on the dance clubs charts in America. And it's certified platinum in the UK. Harder, Better, Faster, Stronger. It samples Cola Bottle Baby by Edwin Birdsong. He was floored by this. He said in 2016, I recorded Cola Bottle Baby 30 years ago, and here comes some guys from France. I asked them, where did you find the music? And they said, I was going through bins, and it popped out.
Huh.
They just discovered this in a record store somewhere or whatever. And yeah, Edwin Birdsong said, I'm blessed, and I continue to be blessed by opening my arms to God every day. He just really profited off of Harder, Better, Faster, Stronger in that sample. And yes, Kanye put it on his track Stronger from his 2007 album Graduation. Daft Punk performed it live with him at the 50th Grammy Awards.
Oh. This song in general, didn't this song get memed or TikToked or something at one point?
Yes, it did. First of all, it's been used in a ton of different, TikToks and stuff, but its very first viral video was a fan video called Daft Hands. In 2007, someone wrote all the lyrics on various parts of their hands and then choreographed a dance where they flashed the right fingers to show the lyrics as they popped up. Have you seen that?
No. Yes.
It is super impressive and fun. It's got 77 million YouTube views today. Others have emulated it. They did a Daft Bodies sequel where they upgraded from hands to bodies. Weezer parodied it in their Pork and Beans video. A few other people have referenced Daft Hands, but Harder, Better, Faster, Stronger is the inspo for that. And I love it. I think it's cool the way that they build the lyrics up bit by bit.
Yeah.
They kind of introduce these little pieces and then they smash them together.
Yeah, it builds up.
Yeah, really clever construction. It's just so catchy. It doesn't do anything different once they introduce everything. It kind of does a good job of like building a little bit, and the instrumentation behind it increases. But really, you just kind of get these 2 chunks of lyrics on repeat, on repeat, on repeat, on repeat. The coolest part is the robotic voices.
No, absolutely. The robotic voices, like, imagine non-robotic voices going just harder, faster, stronger.
Our work is never over. That'd be actually unlistenable. I don't think this song works. And they kind of get this like scat section in the middle where they break the words up just so you can't really understand anything but syllables. There's a breakdown in there. Do you think there's anything that you work harder and do faster and make stronger?
What?
I don't know. Do you think this song applies to anything in your life? Like, what does this even practically mean? Work it harder, make it better, do it faster, makes us stronger. What could that be about?
To infinity and beyond.
To infinity and beyond.
I mean, just in general, I think it's saying, like, strive for more.
Strive for more. That's good. Yeah, you're right. It is general. That's pretty good.
The harder you swing the hammer, the better the steel forms, and the faster you get your sword so that it can be as strong as possible.
Oh, you're talking like smithing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's about smithing.
Not bad. Not bad. It's a decent guess.
Ready to talk about the weirdest titled track?
The weirdest titled? You think the weirdest titled is Crescendolls?
Yeah.
Why is that?
I always think it's a weird title.
Yeah, I suppose it is. It's like a crescendo, but with dolls.
Well, and there's not really any lyrics to, like, give me a reason why they called it that.
There's lyrics. Hey, everybody, y'all, woo.
Okay.
No, I think the name from this one is taken more from the Interstella anime. Crescendolls is like the name of a group in the movie. So it is pertinent to them. But hey, it's an interesting song. It samples a track called Can You Imagine by Little Anthony and the Imperials. And I think Crescendolls is a really cool name for it because there's this sense of constantly building anticipation as you listen to this song. Because they keep bringing you back down and then raising you up with that walk up, right? What a construction.
Yeah.
Kind of stresses me out, but like in a way that kind of hypes me up, just kind of puts me on edge. There's that little like laser beam kind of sound, pew, 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 that just goes the whole time. It's kind of fun.
I do like the pew pew pews. But then they do cut out for a little bit, for just like a tasteful amount of time for the drum.
Yeah.
They put a bit of that negative space in between the drum beats too.
Yeah. They change what instruments are there, what tempos, what's included. Like, not too many of these walk-ups are exactly the same, but enough of them are similar enough that this song starts to feel a little long. Crescendolls is maybe one of the most irritatingly repetitive tracks on this album for me.
Really?
Yeah, in the sense that, like, if I'm just listening through this album, I never mind it. If I'm focused on this song, it feels a bit long.
Yeah, that's fair.
I kind of consider it and Nightvision almost like caretaker tracks as we get from Harder, Better, Faster, Stronger to the next biggie, Superheroes. But Crescendolls is the start of that. Nightvision is up next.
Mm-hmm. Something that some superheroes might have.
They might. It's so short that sometimes I miss it.
Well, that's just mean.
Well, it's also very different than the rest of the album. I mean, listen to it. It's not a beat. It's not a loop. It's very ambient kind of synth style. Like, it's just this atmospheric minute and a half. So it's really easy to kind of blink and you miss it.
Yeah.
It's disputed, but the claim is that Nightvision samples a song called I'm Not in Love by 10cc.
I like how ethereal and non-repetitive it is at track 6.
Yeah, it's a breather.
You just float in it for a minute and 44 seconds.
Yeah, there's like a little heartbeat kind of drum behind it. That's nice.
Yeah. And if you listen intently enough, your heartbeat will match it.
That might be true. You know, they say if you listen to like metal music and stuff, your heartbeat speeds up. I bet if you listen to Nightvision loud enough and long enough and on repeat enough and focused enough, you could probably affect your heart rate. I don't know if I'd go so far as to say you'd match it, but you could get close. But then we get what I consider another like bigger track after we get through those caretaker tracks. Another so repetitive song, Superheroes. Recognize anything about superheroes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something's in the air.
Something's in the air. Could it be magic?
It could be magic.
Do you know who's in the air?
No.
No, you don't recognize.
Who is it?
Superheroes samples the song Who's Been Sleeping in My Bed by our resident Spin It Menace and Hoon Queller, Barry Manilow, from episode 40. That's him.
Very nice. That's awesome.
Strap in. It's him, and he's in the air. Something's in the air. Something's in the air. Something's in the air. Something's in the air. And it's in the air a lot. Man, I wonder how many times.
A lot. And they say it's so weird. The way he says something. Some things in the air. Some things in the air.
Yeah, now it fits perfectly with Barry's original song. And I think it's cool that it's here on Superheroes. I like that they called it Superheroes just because superheroes fly a lot. Something's in the air.
Yeah.
Kind of given, is it a bird, is it a plane? I'm pulling up the lyrics, and I've Control F'd something's in the air. Looks like they say it 72 times. That's how many times this sample repeats.
It would have been a competitor for Most Repetitive Award at one point in time.
It would have. Luckily, Stevie Wonder blew it all away on Saturn.
Yeah.
What do you think about it? Does this one feel repetitive at all? It's 4 minutes long, and there's nothing but this hook. They build on it and kind of blend and dance around it well, but it's so repetitive.
I do like it. It's not going to make my top 3 by any means, but it's a decent track.
Might be the least you've ever liked a Barry Manilow song.
Well, it's not a Barry Manilow song.
No, that is true. Might be the least you've ever liked a song with Barry Manilow in it.
Potentially.
This would rile the Hoons up. This is the opposite of the Manilow effect. This isn't daggy.
Dude, this is what the Hoons would be playing.
This is a Hoon bumping track. Yeah, the ending is cool. I really like the way that they kind of deconstruct it at the end. I love a good sequencer. Something about an arpeggio.
Now, what about High Life?
High Life has a really memorable kind of hook to it, too. It is an instrumental, but it's an instrumental with a vocal part.
No, there's lyrics.
There aren't really lyrics. There's parts of lyrics from another song. This is one of the few instances where Daft Punk didn't credit a sample, but people have found out and discovered that the song samples Break Down for Love by Tavares.
Why didn't they credit it?
I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine. I like High Life. It's kind of got this really good dance groove going on. It kind of just flip back and forth between 2 chords a lot, and there's not a ton of variation in the early stages. But once you push past that first minute, things start to get a little more interesting.
Yeah.
And that's the case with a lot of these songs. You know, honestly, I think Daft Punk is a band that if you're going to listen to them, it requires a fair amount of patience. Because you got to get into some of the deeper parts of songs if you want things that mix up a little bit. And I think that's part of their appeal is the tension in the release. They build the tension by showing you the same thing 30 or 40 times. And then the release, the payoff, comes when they change it up.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, man, it's almost like Orange, you glad I didn't say banana. That's what Daft Punk does to us. But I don't mind it. I like High Life well enough. It's a memorable song.
Yeah, but not as memorable as Something About Us.
You think?
I think so. Did you not like Something About Us?
I like it. It was the 6th and final single, and it did, unlike High Life, chart. It went to number 93 on the French charts and 138 in the UK. Not as powerful as the other 5 singles from this record, but not bad. And it's different because it's not disco. It's really funky.
They put the funk, or Daft Funk on this one.
Nice. It's true. I couldn't find any concrete info about samples, but I did find people saying, and I listened to it, it sounds true, that the guitar comes from Oliver Cheatham's Get Down Saturday Night. Very funky. It's kind of just chill.
It's very chill.
I like it. They kind of bring back that same vocal that they put on Digital Love.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it isn't as busy as every other song on this album so far, except for Nightvision. Something About Us feels really stripped down, bare bones. Like this is a Daft Punk ballad of sorts. A lot of drums, little bass, little key part in there. It's kind of all you need for a long time. It does not feel like a 3-minute, 52-second song. It kind of flies by.
It does.
And I think that's because it's so different.
That's what makes it stand out.
Yeah.
They've got some kind of secret that they're going to share with you.
Well, it might not be the right time.
But you got to go to deep space to hear it.
That's true. Well, you know the best way to get to deep space?
You got to take a voyage.
Got to take a voyage. Got to be a Voyager. Like that one rover, right? There's a Voyager rover. Or probe. I don't remember which one it is.
I was thinking about Star Trek Voyager, the TV show.
Oh, that's one I haven't seen. I'm a Star Wars guy, not a Star Trek guy.
I tend to be as well, but I've seen some Star Trek.
Yeah. Voyager's another instrumental. A lot of them on here in this middle section. We end up with quite a few. And it's another one where I couldn't really easily find any info about samples. So Voyager might be closer to original, all original, than a lot of these other chopped up sample bits that they've done. It's a nice track to ease us out of Something About Us, which is funkier and more understated. Kind of build us back up into the Daft Punkiness that we've had for the first 8 tracks. You know, it's getting us ready to get back into that vibe.
I like the deeper instrumental. You know, it's the best I can describe is like, you know how like there's tenor and bass.
Yeah.
This is like the bass of electronic sampling. It's just like, it's like grungy. You know, it's growly.
Yeah, there's a little bit more of a darker tone to it. It's lower and yeah.
I like it.
I do too. I wonder how they decide when to finish a song. Like, how do they say this instrumental? You know, these two chords back and forth and back and forth.
These two chords we've been repeating for 3 minutes.
Let's do this many sequences, like let's vary it this much, and then it'll be done at 3 minutes and 47 seconds. Like, that's where it needs to end.
We're done. Yeah, I have no idea.
I don't know. Sounds complicated. But I think they always kind of choose well. I don't think too many of these songs feel too long or burdensome. They just ride a groove until they're done with it. And sometimes, you know, they don't get done with it for almost 6 minutes. And that's the case on track 11, Veridis Quo. Instrumental again. Now, this might be one of my favorite titles on the album, actually.
When I mentioned it at the beginning of the episode, you were like, oh, we'll get to it.
Yes, because I wanted to talk about it here.
You were ready to talk about that one.
I was. I'm so excited. So, Veridis Quo. It's Latin, right? It's a play on Latin.
Yeah, like status quo.
Like status quo, right? Quo vadis is a phrase that means where are you going. This one's all fancied up. And people think that Veridis Quo could mean to what dreadful place. Like, to what dreadful place do you go? Which is interesting to put after Voyager. Also, though, phonetically, Veridis Quo is very disco, right? Because it's a very disco song.
Oh, it is very disco. Yeah.
But even more than that, very disco is an anagram for discovery.
It is.
It is.
That's cool.
It's pretty cool. Veridis Quo is a pun. It's like a 3-layered pun. And I love that. Also, it's just a good song. This one samples a song called Supernature by Cerrone. And I just love what they do with that kind of... It almost sounds like a synthetic woodwind kind of sound. Do-do-do-do-do-do-do. It's such a nice progression.
Yeah, I like it.
And I like the way they grow it out of nothing. It starts with just that, and then the drums kind of slowly start to fade in, and then more instruments start to fade in. It gets louder. The bass starts to come in. Like, we just build this soundscape. The pads come in the back. Veridis Quo is a really good exercise in just like dynamics from the ground up. Good song arrangement.
It's a great song arrangement.
And it's so chill.
I just get that little run stuck in my head.
So we've got back-to-back instrumentals here. How would you like to go 3 for 3? Voyager, Veridis Quo, Short Circuit, 3 in a row.
Ugh.
Short Circuit sounds so 80s. So just slappy. It was one of the first songs that the duo created for the album, with the exception, of course, of One More Time, which sat on the shelf forever. It almost samples The Ballad of Dorothy Parker by Prince, but instead of directly lifting Prince's audio, they recreated it on their own. Kind of did it their own way.
Oh.
Yeah. What do you think about Short Circuit? Which of these 3 instrumentals has been your favorite?
Probably Voyager.
Oh, right off the bat.
Well, I take that back. Probably Veridis Quo.
I was going to say, Voyager would probably be my least favorite, maybe. But yeah, Veridis Quo would be my...
I do like Voyager more than Short Circuit, but...
I just like the instrument sounds they get on Short Circuit.
Yeah, it gets a little dubsteppy for me.
You know what predates dubstep by a decade at least?
Yeah, I know, but it gets a little dubsteppy.
Yeah, that's fair. I like the way that Short Circuit kind of decays, though, at the end, like a tape or something that's running out of batteries.
That's true. Like it's short circuits.
Yeah.
That's fair. That's fair.
I think it's pretty clever. Up next, though, if you can believe it, is probably the most sample-heavy song on the album, Face to Face. It was a promotional single that came out a few years after the album, and it features Todd Edwards on vocals and as a co-producer. Now, it doesn't sound like the most sampled song. You go, how can it be the most sampled song when you just talked about superheroes using that same Barry Manilow clip 73 times? Well, Face to Face uses more than 20 different and apparently uncredited samples from soft rock and folk.
Wow.
Yeah. So over the years, over the last quarter century, fans have tried to locate all these samples, and only just recently they cracked the code in 2023 and found the last of the samples with the help of AI. So, you know, some biggies that they sample in Face to Face include South City Midnight Lady and It Keeps You Running by the Doobie Brothers, Evil Woman and Can't Get It Out of My Head by ELO, and You Got Some Imagination by Boz Scaggs. But there's 20 different songs, like, juiced and packed into this 4-minute Daft Punk track. It's cool, and they did the entire song, recording and producing, with Todd Edwards in just 2 studio sessions, which is so impressive.
That is impressive. To do all of that in 2? What were they, like 2 24-hour sessions?
I don't know. Maybe. I imagine they're probably just, 12 or something full days, but
yeah.
Still, to sample so much, so well. Face to Face is a cool song with lyrics that actually kind of tell a story and have a message here. A lot of Daft Punk's lyrics have been largely vibe-based.
I mean, yeah, that's kind of their whole thing.
It is. Face to Face has a good message, though. You know, if you want to have productive conversations and resolve your issues correctly and healthily, you gotta talk face to face.
We never talk face to face on this podcast.
We don't. We talk voice to voice. Voice to voice.
Sure. Don't have the same ring to it, same vibe.
No, it hits a little different. But, like, the verses are great. There's not much I know about you. Fear will always make you blind, but the answer is in clear view. It's amazing what you'll find face to face. That's nice. It kind of shows that Daft Punk can have a little substance beyond, like, their musical absolute mind-blowingness. This song hit number 1 on the US Billboard Hot Dance Club Play chart, but it was shortly replaced by Britney Spears' Toxic.
We've talked about that song.
Yes, it was one of the Mixtaper's Halloween 13. Todd Edwards has a really good voice here. I like his singing on this song. So that's been 50 minutes of this hour-long album. We only got one track left. It is the longest track on the album by about 4 minutes.
Hey, please, we're at 51 minutes.
Well, yes, that's true. Sorry for being technically incorrect. Last up is a song that is perhaps too long. Too long. Do you think it lives up to its name? Does this song put the album over the edge on length?
It's novel. It's cool. I don't think I'd have a problem with it if I wasn't sitting here trying to take notes on it.
Yeah.
But I do love the irony.
I know, right? I think they definitely did it on purpose. There are 3 big samples here. First Come, First Serve by Rolls Royce, Running Away by the band Maze, and One Cold Vibe by Third World. And I think they definitely came up with the lyrics and stuff and then decided to make the song 10 minutes exactly. Very tongue-in-cheek. It's kind of a nice chill way to end the album. It's like energy, but it's not too much energy. It's sound, but it's not overwhelming, overstimulating sound. I think it's a great kind of conclusion here. I'm pretty content with it as a closer. Certainly wouldn't put it anywhere else on the album. Put a 10-minute boulder in the middle of your pretty seamlessly flowing track list.
Yeah.
At the end is where it needs to go.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Otherwise, though, I do think the rest of the album has flowed very well. I think they've done a good job at breaking up the sounds and the styles and the energy levels of all these tracks. I like that the back half is mostly instrumental. We kind of get a lot of the lyrics out of the way in the first half.
You're kind of getting into Final Spin territory here.
You're right. That's true. I am. Well, let's retrofit. Final Spin started a couple seconds ago.
Oh, okay.
And included all of that. Yeah, no, the vibes are high on Discovery for me. This was a great album to discover. Really satisfied with Daft Punk and what they're bringing to the table. The samples and the production are cool. The lyrics are usually not much to write home about. But the instruments and the production and the vibe score, they're so high. Like, that's what Daft Punk is made for. You don't come here for the lyrics. You come here for the instruments and the production. Daft Punk, I mean, they were the forefront of the electronic music genre for decades. For a reason. I guess decades is a stretch. Really like 1.8 decades. But still, they're great at what they do. Given the music in 81, a lot of it's repetitive. You know, the real beauty of Daft Punk doesn't come in melodies. Some of it comes in hooks, but a lot of it comes in the production and the sampling. So that is reflected later. 81 for just the pure music of this album. 70 for the lyrics. Bit of a hit there, but one more time. The lyrics are, one more time, I'm going to celebrate. One more time, one more time. You know, superheroes, something's in the air, something's in the air. Ad nauseum. Crescendolls. Come on, everybody, y'all, woo. That's it. So I think it's justified. Face to Face and Something About Us and Digital Love are not enough to save the lyrics.
That is a sadly low score.
It is. However, the instruments and the production, 95. Great sample work. Awesome tracks to pull from. I love disco sampling. I love funk and soul sampling. They've really outdone themselves on Discovery. It makes me want to listen to more Daft Punk. 95 over there. I think every decision they made in production is the right decision. Really can't think of anything I would have rather heard or had them do differently. Overall vibe, 91. I think this album's a little timeless. I think it pulls from the past. I think it projects into the future. I think they really had a vision and they accomplished it on Discovery. It really does feel like a discovery in a lot of ways now in 2025, and it must have been so huge in 2001. I was a little young back in that day, so it didn't hit me with the times, but still so cool to find this album and dig into it. 82.1 is its overall score, puts it at number 545, above Goodbye to All of That by The Wildlife, and below OK Orchestra by AJR.
Wow.
It's music and lyrics. It's the music and the lyrics that really keep this album from being away from the upper echelon, but especially lyrics.
For me,
Fire away.
I liked this album about spot on how I thought I was going to like it.
Okay, well, how much is that?
Approximately 8 stylettes out of 10.
I don't know how to spell stylettes.
STYLET.
That's easy enough. Sorry, I don't speak worm. 8 out of 10 is exactly what you predicted, huh?
Yeah.
I think that makes sense to me. What kept it out of the 9s?
Unlike Beach Boys, where I came into an album expecting one thing and got something completely different, this album was exactly what I expected. Daft Punk lived up to what I thought they'd be.
Yeah, well, you already knew a third of it.
Yeah, that does help. My top 3 in album order, one more time. Harder, Better, Faster, Stronger.
Oh, no, Digital Love.
Oh, sorry. Strike that.
Oh.
One more time. Digital Love.
Yeah, phew, thank goodness.
Harder, Better, Faster, Stronger.
Gotcha.
And Veridis Quo.
Oh, wow, you almost didn't even name that one as your favorite instrumental.
Yeah, just in that run of 3.
Yeah.
There's a lot of instrumentals. But I really like Veridis Quo. I do.
I do.
Man, it has the hook that gets stuck in my head most. The da-na-na-na-na-na-na.
Yeah, maybe from this whole album. That's a great point.
Yeah. And that's why it is also my playlist pick.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Well, that leaves me a hard choice.
Got an hour and 10 minutes worth of stuff to pick from.
Well, let's eliminate too long. Now I've only got 50 minutes of stuff to pick from. Harder, Better, Faster, Stronger is a big hit. It's never been my favorite. Never been my favorite Daft Punk song, period. Definitely not from this album. I don't think it'll be my playlist pick. I would go back and forth between One More Time and Digital Love.
I think Digital Love.
I think so too. It's a pretty good song. And, I mean, it's pretty well known, don't get me wrong, but it is less well known than One More Time. So it feels like a little more of a deserving favorite song pick from me.
Yeah.
I didn't know it before this album. Where in your ace does it go?
Oh, I was like, I know I'm forgetting something.
Yeah, I need to know where to put it.
It goes right next to another non-duo, Daryl Hall and John Oates. Between them and Fragile by Yes.
Okay. Well, perfect. That's an interesting spot to put it, but I get that. I really did like Abandoned Luncheonette a lot. That's a fairly low 8 for you.
Yeah. My 8s are starting to become more and more stacked as the 9s have become like super stacked.
Yeah, no doubt.
More things are now bleeding into the 8s.
That makes sense. Well, yeah, I suppose that does it for Discovery. The album, the day of Discovery, which is today because it's the day we're doing Discovery, and the year of Discovery.
Yeah.
52 episodes.
Have we announced what the next year is?
No, I was about to do that right now.
Well, go ahead.
So, I've had a lot of fun in the year of Discovery, finding a bunch of new artists that we haven't listened to or heard of before, finding things in new ways, bringing you stuff we wouldn't normally bring, and not worrying about scores. And I think those kind of vibes are going to carry on into future episodes. We'll still be discovering for quite some time. But we spent all this time with the new artists. I think we should take some time out of year 5 and revisit some of the older artists that we've done who maybe disappointed us a little bit, who we think maybe could do better. I think year 5 should be a year of redemption.
I love it.
Yeah. Well, we've got those artists, you mentioned the Beach Boys that you thought would do much better and they scored pretty low. There's some albums that I brought that I think I could choose better from certain artists.
That's fair.
Yeah. So I think 1 out of every 5 to 10 episodes next year we'll try and do a redemption pick.
Yeah, every month and a half.
So it won't be like we're just rehashing all the old stuff we've done, because that's not fun. There are some ground rules that we'll lay down. We don't want to do anyone that's more recent than 100 episodes old. We'll have certain thresholds on the score they had to get the first time. But I think it'll be a fun new twist.
Yep. It's year of redemption, not year of do another really awesome album by somebody who already had a really awesome album.
Right, but someone needs to be redeemed. So we'll figure that out when we get to it. But the Discovery vibes will continue, as well as some redemption.
I think my thing for this year is going to be looking at your ranking list, because you got like 800 some albums on there now.
And counting.
And I'm going to find artists who I think have scored really low for you.
Yeah.
And find another album you haven't done by them that I think might score better for you.
Oh, I love that.
To try to redeem people on your list. That way I'm still getting the chance to bring new people, but also get to participate in the redemption theme.
Yeah, I think that's fantastic.
I always reserve the right to do whatever the heck I want.
Naturally.
And so, can't hold myself to that all the time, but I do think the majority, if not all of my picks in the year of redemption will be new artists for the podcast that have ranked lower than I feel they should have on your ranking sheet.
That's exciting. But yeah, that'll be year 5. 5 years is no small feat. So thank you so much for sticking around with us.
Yes, I can't believe it. If you told me 5 years ago that we'd still be doing this podcast, I'd be like, well, yeah, of course, because it's an awesome podcast. But also, I'd probably be like, maybe not.
5 years. A lot can happen in 5 years.
Yeah, we haven't hit our 5-year anniversary yet, but we're going into year 5. It's all very confusing.
Yes. Yes, this is the 5th year of podcast. We've done a full 4 years. The podcast has graduated high school if it started as a freshman.
Oh, I was going to say it was getting ready to start kindergarten, but...
That too. Yeah, it could be starting school. Yes. My point is we've made this podcast as long as we went to high school together.
Remember when we were in our terrible twos?
Yeah. Oh, wow. The year of vengeance. Really terrible twos.
And we had our horrible ones
Oh my
and our
gosh.
terrible twos.
The joke won't die.
No, well, as we go into the 4s, what did we say 3 was? We had something for 3.
I have no recollection of that.
I don't either. I'm thinking the Fantastic Fours.
Sure.
Legally distinct Fantastic Four.
Right, not the copyrighted one. That's what we just finished. We'll figure 5 out later. But if you want to be around for the year of redemption, and I know you do,
Ferocious 5.
make sure you like and subscribe and follow on your preferred podcast platform and on social media at Spin It Pod Official on Instagram
Fairly Decent 5.
and at Spin It Pod on X. And of course, you can visit our website,
Fergalicious 5.
www.spinitpod.com.
Hey, now's a good time as ever to tell somebody to go discover the podcast.
That's true. At the end of the year of discovery. This is your last chance
Yeah.
in the year of discovery to have someone discover us.
Yeah. So why don't you tell a friend who you think would look better if they wore a trash can on their head
Oh,
about the podcast?
dang. I thought you were going to say tell a friend with cool stylets or something.
Is that too mean for the end of the year?
Tell a friend who speaks French.
Oh, speaks French would have been less mean or more mean, depending on how you think about the French.
Tell 2 friends. Tell one who's a punk. Tell one who's a little daft.
Oh, and one who's daft, but don't tell them which is which.
Yep.
I like it.
They'll figure it out. They'll know. We'll see you next year. Podcast year, that is. Which is just next week. And until then, you know what to do.
Keep spinning!
What was the coolest thing you learned in the year of discovery? The Mixtaper asked me all of my favorite fact or spin facts that we discovered.
Well, I'm just happy to learn who Meatloaf was.
I don't know if we did. I think we just know more, but I don't think we'll ever truly understand.
The year discoveries when we completed the Pokemon quest.
Yeah, we did all of Boy Genius. Okay, rankings aside, what was your least favorite album to discover in the year of discovery?
I think, score aside, I was probably least excited about probably Mariah Carey, to be honest.
Really? Her and her Milk Dogs?
Yeah, well, it's just, I mean, listen, I'm glad we had to do her at some point around the holidays.
Yeah, she doesn't want a lot for Christmas.
It's just like, I'm just super excited about everything else, so.
Oh, that's a good reason. Maybe we can redeem her. Well, happy 4th birthday, Spin It.
The final 5.
Final 5?
I don't know, I'm just thinking of other F words to go for year 5. Oh, flamboyant. Fearless 5. Fast moving 5. Ferocious 5, I think I said the frugal 5. The 5.
I hate it.